because we have somebody pretty prestigious that's going to do it, but I gotta make sure that you all are ready. It is not every day that we have Mr. Russell Simmons here at Robert Morris University. So I want you all to act like you want him to be here. Can I at least get a round of applause? I thought that was actually just okay. I don't really know, but I felt that when we talk about a man who has a career spanning so many years, and he's done so much within the fashion industry, within the music industry, within the television industry, within the comedy industry. He's done so much. You talk about a real clear role model and somebody who's out here doing just great work. We want to definitely acknowledge that, but one of the things that I wanted to highlight today was his philanthropic endeavors. He's doing so much within the community. I know if you've checked out his site, www.globalgrind.com. Not only that, the Hip Hop Action Network, this is a man who works tremendously hard, all right, in order to get the job done and make sure that he is making a difference within the community. So we have somebody also here with him, Mr. Curtis Monday, who is going to be moderating and interviewing him, who is from WBON Radio, Dollars and Cents Radio Show. So, without further ado, you all ready? Yeah! You all ready? Yeah! I would like to introduce to you Mr. Curtis Monday and none other than Mr. Russell Simmons.
You prefer Russell or Mr. Simmons?
Russell.
Russell and myself. Then we're going to open up with some Q&A with you guys. Let me start by saying that I'm truly honored to be here. First of all, to spend some time with Russell, but definitely to see so many young adults out here. I think back when I was in Northern as an undergrad, I didn't have this opportunity. So I encourage you to do two things. One, take up the opportunity to soak up the knowledge. And then two, take an opportunity to invest in your own future. Definitely pick up this book. Pick up the book. These are jewels for you. And so I want to encourage you guys to be able to pick up this book and learn from it. Is that okay?
Yes.
All right. Let's get started. Let me turn my technology on for a second. Okay. There you go. Okay, Russell, as we get into this, again, from one entrepreneur to the next, what haven't you done? You know, co-founder, Def Jam, Fat Farm, Baby Fat, you know, you name it, you've done it. When did you first realize you had the entrepreneur bug?
I had an experience where I fell in love with rap music and I went to work for it, and that was, for me, it was different from selling drugs, right? It was much more fun, safer. But I really loved the music, and then I got a chance to produce. And there were moments producing records that were so inspiring, and moments that brought me to a pure presence. The melodies, so beautiful. While producing the records, it just was something that promoted so much joy for me, the work. And I didn't realize what it was then, but you know, it obviously is the subject of this book. The kind of consciousness that you get when your work is your prayer. The book is about that. So that was my first inspiration, moments that I really, and then had some examples where people were encouraged by what I did, and that made a big difference in my life, changed my life. Just a little encouragement. And I learned later that, you know, that we should try to make each breath that kind of encouraging breath, each example, even each struggle. So those are the early examples in my first entree into being an entrepreneur.
So as the individuals who are thinking about entrepreneurship, would you get that as a first baseline to tap into what you actually love to do?
You may not be drawn to something like that. Like when producing the record, it was such an experience. I was already drawn to the music, but you may not be drawn to it. This book is not about finding something like a sunset that's so beautiful that you lose your breath. or putting you into some state of consciousness that's, wow, this is about developing the kind of focus that allows you to make every effort your prayer. Or so as you're moving towards a space of consciousness, and we'll talk about it a lot, but the book is super rich. It's a state of needing nothing. It's a definition of super rich. Incidentally, it's the same, one of the many definitions of yoga, a state of needing nothing, or Christ consciousness, or nirvana, so enlightenment. I couldn't write a book about enlightenment, I wouldn't buy it. But there's such a thing. I mean, I have faith in it. But even if you don't believe that you can live in samadhi, which yogis refer to as Christ, same thing, that you can live where everything is slow and you're completely at bliss and awake. And you have this heightened sensitivity that they refer to in all the scripture. Even if you don't believe you can live there, certainly the journey towards enlightenment is what all of us are on. Increased happiness, heightened sensitivity, and a greater ability to be a giver, more fearless and more happy. So that's really what the book is about, and I think that it is, a prosperity preacher would say, if you lived and you needed nothing, then you were operating from abundance. Right? We've heard that rap, right? Operating from abundance.
And we'll get into the book, picking your brain regarding entrepreneurship. A product of the South Side of Chicago, and as I think back to my own background, in grammar school or high school, there was never any courses taught about entrepreneurship. It's not something that's embedded in our curriculum at lower levels of education. But I feel, though, that our experiences as African Americans make us uniquely qualified to have a natural adaptation towards entrepreneurship.
All we have is drugs.
But right.
That's true. I mean, well,
exactly, yeah.
I mean, that's what, you think of a lot of the old entrepreneurs. It's not a cultural thing. So I would say, I wouldn't agree with there 100% because it's not a cultural thing. We talk about African Americans in general. It's not something that's learned, just like financial literacy. It's not something that's in a lot of our communities. A lot of our families have failed miserably at, having good credit and building a sound financial basis. So financial literacy is one, and entrepreneurship is another one that is not embedded in our community. But we do have those experiences. We do have those few heroes, and they kind of did. And I did come from that kind of experience. I got something for $1, sold for $2.
Yeah.
Right. So I did that. And it was kind of a freedom that you had your own business, but to find something I loved that was legal.
Yeah.
It was much more gratifying. And also, I say this to you because I didn't do anything I thought I would do myself. Because I'm going to talk a little bit about karmic, a business yogi, the chapter in there, a business yogi, and what does he do? And so we can talk about that a little bit. I think it's important, especially in light of where I came from.
Right. To your point about the things we saw, you're right. The normal African American business owner may not be prevalent in the hood, as I call it. But we did see the hustle, or the things that entrepreneurship may promise, opportunity, the chance to have a better existence. The hip-hop community has done a great job of taking on that whole mantra and taking it to another level.
Well, I think they have some of the same experiences I have. One thing in scripture, the music, and certainly in yogic scripture, and I guess it's probably taught in the Torah and the Bible and the Quran and everything else too. There's a melody that is part of the process. There's bhakti yoga, there's karmic yoga, and there's nada, sound. Sound does bring you to presence, or to what they would call God consciousness. So sound and artistry brings you to the self. Even quicker than numbers. So they have that experience as artists, which allows them a kind of a freedom. And what the book is also about is how do you gain that freedom to see things in a more broad way. And I think there's a chapter on meditation, and there's lots of things that help to bring you there. And that's what the book's about. The book is really about training people, in practices, training them, yesterday, in practices for freedom. And that kind of freedom that allows you to tackle something new. Instead of looking at where's the white space, you may see the world as a white space. And you may just find that people need a lot of stuff. And a white space means